What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Caught Stealing, the fantasy baseball podcast of Fantasy Alarm. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, is Colby Conway. I say, of course, as if he hasn't been gone for the last 2 weeks. Colby, welcome back, dude. Shout out to Joe Galena for holding down the fort while you were gone. He joined me for like a closer segment the first week that you were gone. And then I was like, screw it, man. Just come here, hang out with me for the full hour the next time around. And away we went. But Colby, hi, how are you? Welcome back. You were far off in another land. How'd your fantasy baseball team survive?
Honestly, pretty good. My home team my home league got its second win of the season, first one in quite a few weeks. So I guess I just had to leave the country for that team to kick it into high gear. Getting, Yelich and Caminero hot at the same time has been quite nice. But yeah, shout out to Joe for stepping in. Had a spot start 2 weeks ago, and then you brought him back to stick in the rotation for a turn. So glad he was able to step in there. And it's been good. I was keeping tabs on how things were going while I was gone. It was a little bit tough when the podcast was released, and because of the time zone, I was going to bed, so I had to catch it the next morning. But good to be back in the mix.
It's great to have you here because you know what? I'm floundering. I am floundering. I'm glad that you got guys who are getting hot. I do like the fact that Caminero is turning it up, but man, my teams have just been. I mean, it's just a hot mess. Like when you deal with that many injuries early on and slow starters to boot. Like, I mean, it's really like I've really kind of resigned to the fact, Colby, that I'm just looking to advance to not get relegated in the FSGA league. Like I want to, I'm like behind. Obviously, like it's going to take a while to fix the WHIP and the ERA, and I'll spend my time doing that, and you'll slowly see me start to creep up in the standings. But really, just enough. It's like working hard enough just to not get fired. Is really where I'm at with fantasy baseball. So your words, your wisdom, your insights definitely going to be needed here. And on a day like today, it's great that you're back here because today is a nice little special day in fantasy baseball and in MLB baseball. Anytime we get new rookies to talk about, new rookies to play with, it's always an exciting time. Jac Caglianone from the Kansas City Royals, he finally got called up. Jim Bowden's only been screaming that from the rooftops for the past couple of weeks. So Caglianone comes in. Ronny Mauricio, also top prospect in the Mets organization, a little bit of a multi-talented, multi-position infielder, but shiny new toys, Colby. Who doesn't love shiny new toys?
Yeah, and I mean, Caglianone's been the one that we've been beating the drum for a while, considering that he all he did was mash at AA, then gets the promotion to AAA, and then just 12 games, pops 6 home runs, a insane 404 ISO. Obviously, it's inflated by the power numbers in that stretch. So we finally get him up, and it's been about time. This Kansas City outfield and offense as a whole needed an injection of talent and power, and Caglianone can definitely do that. Needs to keep the strikeout rate in check. He's done very well with that so far in the minors. We'll have to see if he's just kind of the next young power guy that comes up and has a little bit of a strikeout issue. Not quite sure it'll happen with him, but the pure offensive talent with Caglianone is simply too much to pass up. So I highly doubt he's available in any leagues anymore. But if he is, pause the podcast, go pick him up, and then come on back. He could be one of the more impactful free agents that you get off of the waiver wire at this point of the season.
It's kind of funny, in some leagues that are out there where he is potentially available, because it didn't really get announced that he was getting called up until Monday. And waivers had already processed. So he was making his debut, on a Tuesday, and that's today. But I think it's just, so he could be available. Is this a guy you unload the FAAB wallet for? Probably. I mean, I can't really see, other than the fact that, listen, I get it. He's, playing in Omaha as a hitter-friendly minor league facility, and that's fine. But there's nobody standing in his way. There's no reason for him to not sit and get the at-bats. I agree with you. The strikeouts need to come down and stay down. But I'm jumping in on him. I was talking to Jim Bowden about Ronny Mauricio. Jim said, he's heard great things from all the right people. He's just never, anytime that he's seen him, it's not been anything special. He just hasn't seen him all that much. Started to kind of compare him to like a Tommy Edman type, multi-position, like Tommy Edman, Willie Castro, in that range. Yeah. So, I don't hate having a guy like that on my roster if he's going to qualify at a bunch of positions, but it's very tough for a rookie to be moved around all over the infield as well in order for him to like feel most comfortable.
And he's coming off. He didn't play in 2024. I believe it was the torn ACL, right? Isn't that what Mauricio did? Wasn't his knee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, coming off a year where he didn't play really at all. And then he has had back in 2021, 22, 2023, some productive power speed seasons. Decent in terms of batting average. I do think I'm going to drop him a peg or two in leagues that value OBP over average because a high walk rate has never really been a thing for him.
Right.
Sure, maybe the walks have been there this year, but I have about 7 years that indicate otherwise versus the handful of at-bats he's gotten this year. So the other interesting thing to see it's going to be at the Mets is depending how long Mark Vientos is out, there's a lot of bodies in that infield. So I think you're right in terms of like he might get moved around a lot. How much does that impact the mental side of the game, his psyche? If he hits, do they put him at third? Do they put him at second? Does he get some time? If Lindor gets to DH a couple of games, it'll be interesting to see where they make the at-bats for him. But there's a lot of talent to be had. He kind of, to me, at least this year, is going to be more of like a jack of all trades, master of none. I don't think he's going to dominate any one particular category. He's just going to do a little bit across the board to help out your fantasy team.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And I mean, listen, it's always, I always like to check in on all the rest of the rookies. Once you start seeing this cycle, and this really hasn't been a great season overall. I mean, you get some guys like, Jacob Wilson, right? Augustine Ramirez, they pop for a little while and they've been, good solid assets. Christian Campbell. But, for every one of those guys, you've got like Matt Shaw being sent down in the middle of his turn. All right. Jordan Lawler got called up for no reason whatsoever. Right. He got called up for 8 games, appeared in 2 of them, and then went right back down. You look at the pitching, you've got Roki Sasaki and Jackson Jobe, who are both hurt right now. Jack Leiter is okay. Cade Horton's turned out pretty good. Sugano, I mean, he's fine. Dude doesn't strike anybody out, though. So, overall, I'd say, this crop of rookies, I guess it should be the lesson that everybody learns to be careful about getting way too overhyped, not only for rookies in general, but for hot starts too, because these guys have all kind of pulled back where I'm not really, they're not moving the needle enough to like impact your fantasy roster.
Oh, and just go over to FanGraphs, sort by rookies, and look, we have 4 qualified rookie hitters above a 1 WAR. Jacob Wilson's at 2.8. Then you got 2 catchers, Narvaez and Drake Baldwin there at 1.9 and 1.4 respectively. And then Chase, I think it's Meidroth. I am wavering on the pronunciation. But
you know what? Actually, I've got the full pronunciation guide that Jim Bowden sends me. So wait 1 second. I will tell you right now what it is.
I want to say it's.
Where do you want to go with? What do you want to go with here?
I'm gonna go. I want to go Meidroth. I'm gonna go Meidroth. I think the MEI is gonna give us a I think it's a Meidroth.
And Meidroth it is, my friend. It is Chase Meidroth.
Yep. So you got them at 1.4, and then take a look at the pitchers. We have 5, and of course, just as we all expected coming into the year, Chad Patrick is leading rookie pitchers in WAR right now. So if that doesn't tell you kind of what it is, all those big names, I mean, with time, AJ Smith-Shawver would have been up above those guys. But, coming into draft season, it was Jack Leiter. It was Kumar Rocker. It was Sagano, like you said. And right now, I think if we're talking about rookie pitchers, the ones people are probably most excited about are the likes of Noah Cameron. Maybe Will Warren is actually coming around a little bit. So it's.
Oh no! While you were gone, man, the Dodgers did something to Will Warren that I don't I genuinely don't think that he's ever going to recover. The funny thing is,
fine.
Colby, I had tickets to go to that game. I was supposed to go down to Dodger Stadium. Shout out to my boy Mark C, who listens from Fantasy Alarm from FA Nation. He was like, he's down there. He's like, yeah, I got tickets to, season tickets. Why don't you come down for the Yankee series? I was like, yeah, let me see if I can come down for Saturday's game. I wasn't able to, but I got saved, dude, man. Will Warren, I mean, just got destroyed. Yankees end up losing that game 18-2.
Well, I still like him moving forward. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll bounce back, but you can start looking at splits all you want. He's got to figure out what to do with left-handed hitters. If he can't figure that out, one, it's not going to be pretty, and two, I will continue making money in DFS. So
there you go. Okay. I can dig that. I can dig that. It's kind of funny. You don't really, nobody was in on Chad Patrick. But meanwhile, yeah, it's that sub-3 ERA. You got to love that. The whip's a little on the high side, but more than a strikeout per inning, which is something that none of these other rookie pitchers can really say. Jack Leiter, no. Jackson Jobe, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Like flexor straight in his elbow. I mean, does that not just scream Tommy John?
I mean, in this day and age, probably that's basically what it seems. If you get anything with an elbow or that flexor tendon, it is always something like that. And then, I think he avoided the dreaded second opinion, which obviously we know that means that they liked the prognosis from the first one, where I believe Corbin Burns went for a second opinion, and you never get a second if you don't like the first. So yeah, I mean, yeah, these rookie pitchers aren't missing bats, and we'll talk about like Noah Cameron a little bit later on. As much as I like the guy, unless the strikeouts pick up, his upside's capped. It is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely is what it is. What about where are you at on Zebby Matthews? Everybody loved Zebby coming in. Three starts already. Rather unimpressive. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and bash the dude. I think he has a great skill set, but it's just he's not ready.
He's got the strikeouts. That's the calling card. The walk rate's a bit up. And the main thing is, I think if you're going to be an optimist, you're going to look right past that 6.43 ERA and say, but he's got the 301 FIP and the 3.6 xERA. It's coming down. And sure, it very well could be, but will Minnesota give him enough leash? Can he figure out left-handed hitters? Because they're absolutely pounding him this year. And that's a trend. Last year, lefties gave him some fits as well. So he's got to figure out what to do with left-handed hitters if he wants to have success. But at the very least, if you can live with maybe a little bit of risk in some of the other categories, the strikeouts are really nice. It'll be interesting. He did get Milwaukee, did get Seattle, actually did have 9 against Kansas City. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do anything more than strikeouts as we kind of move forward.
I'd like to see. I mean, we see that with a lot of guys, right? High walk rate, high strikeout rate. Then they'll come back the following year. Strikeouts will be diminished, but they'll also fix the walk rate. That'll look good. And then year 3, all of a sudden, it all kind of comes together for them. For sure. The Corbin Burns stuff, man. Sad news. Definitely. I mean, listen, we're pitching wise again. Here we go. Corbin Burns likely done for the year. When was the last time rest and rehab was ever the right answer on the elbow? Never. Max Meyer, he lands on the IL, hip injury there. AJ Smith-Shawver, we hardly knew you, kid. We hardly knew you. Again, it's just another run of that. Are you lamenting over that, or are you just are you locked in on some of the pitchers who are coming back?
I'm more excited about obviously the ones that are coming back, and I think there's a lot to like with them. I am with you. I don't see a world in which we see Burns, and if we do, it's going to be one of those things where he's going to rest in rehab. He's going to try to come back. It's going to be diminished velocity. Results won't be well, and then he'll be right back on the IL. So I'm banking to be without Burns. Max Meyer with the hip. I saw a post on X that said he'd been dealing with it for a couple of starts, which maybe indicates kind of why he's fallen off a little bit after a good start to the season, but his fastball just isn't very good. So he's one I actually was trying to look to trade him this week, and then the injured news comes out, so now I got to wait to do that. And then Smith-Shawver's a blow. He's probably the one I was probably the most excited of those 3, but of the guys that are coming back, I'm not going to believe Brandon Woodruff is back until he's actually back, because we've been teased a little bit too much. He's right on the cusp of returning from this shoulder injury and then ankle. and then needs 3 rehab starts for his ankle. So sweet. And then Eury Perez is the big one. I believe he was featured in James Grande's waiver wire article over at the site. I believe his next rehab start is his 8th of his rehab appearances. So when he comes back, this is just one of the best young arms in baseball. If he's truly healthy, there might be a little bit of rust early on, but man, I would be, this is a bad week for a lot of managers because the FAAB is going to be gone. If you're trying to go for Jac Caglianone and Eury Perez, your FAAB's done.
Yeah. Should be interesting with Perez. I view him more as a second half guy. I think, I still think he's a couple of rehab starts away from like really coming back. And then, like you said, it always takes time, right? Velocity comes back, is always the first to come back. Command and control. That's really what it comes down to. And I think that, Perez is somebody who really, and I'm hoping that the Marlins just kind of take their time with him, right? There's no reason to push it. Like, let's let it happen and make Eury Perez, more valuable, could good value in second half, but even more so in long-term keeper leagues, dynasty. If you've weathered the storm, then hopefully it'll pay off for you there.
And let me throw this in there too. The one thing that they could do is they could take and fantasy managers aren't going to like this. The kid's 22 years old.
Right.
Maybe they take for the rest of 2025 upon his return, get him back, get the experience back under his belt, get some major league innings. Who's to say they don't go the Drew Rasmussen route and say, I don't care if you're at 50 pitches through 6 innings, you're done. You're just not going past 6 innings. Look at Rasmussen. He's gone for 6 innings in each of his last 3 starts. Prior to that, hadn't done it at all. We could very well see the soft cap, as I call it, on Eury Perez. 5 to 6 innings, in and out, no harm, no foul. Get ready to fully let him go in 2026.
Love that. All right, so that's some of the latest news and notes and injuries going on around MLB. We're just kind of catching everybody up. What we did want to talk about now, and this is going to be interesting because, Colby, over the next 2 months, I don't know if you've heard the news, but it was officially announced. I've signed a lease up in Alaska. I will be moving. At the end of July, I will be gone in full move mode when we're right there at the MLB trade deadline, right? End of July. I'm gonna have that full move in there, and then I get to sit there on a little vacay. Not really a vacation, because anybody who's moved to a different state understands it's not a vacation. But nevertheless, I will still be able to kind of sit back and just enjoy some of the trade news that's going on there. Trade deadline's always huge for fantasy sports. This is where things kind of open up and things kind of close out. So, think it was your idea to talk a little buyers, little sellers, and talk about some of the guys who, it could help and it could hurt. Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, let's start with the sellers. And I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of shuffling that happens leading up to the deadline, and teams are going to start there are teams today, as we're recording this on June 3rd, that know that they're selling. Pittsburgh's going to be selling. Colorado's going to be trying to sell, but we don't know if they have anything that anybody wants. A team like Marlins probably are going to be selling as well. It'll be really interesting to see, though, with teams like Baltimore, who the arrow was pointing up for them. They've had a down year this year, got rid of the manager, but they've won 6 of their last 10. Can they make a crawl out of the basement of the AL East, or do they look to ship off some guys? It's going to be really interesting to see kind of who goes, and especially with like Pittsburgh, they've said that pretty much anybody is available except O'Neal Cruz and Paul Skeens. I want to believe them on that, but you never truly know. But Brian Hayes is going to get dealt. Brian Reynolds is going to get dealt. Elite closer David Bednar is probably going to be moved. Teams like that, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Then like a team like Colorado, I think they want to sell, but who wants anything from there? Like the whole thing was like, oh, get German Marquez out of Coors and he'll be good. He's been horrible away from Coors.
Dude, he's been atrocious on the road. Atrocious.
Yeah. I think his ERA on the road is worse than it is at Coors Field.
It is.
And then like Senzatella, does anybody want him? Kyle Freeland, like there is just nothing. So like I'm actually the teams that sell are always interesting to me, because it's like, where can teams find value from these players? And at least amongst the Marlins, Rockies, Pirates, White Sox, amongst those teams, you have to agree that the Pirates probably have the most intriguing pieces, and they're shown that they are willing to sell off those players at the deadline. And Brian Reynolds is probably the one that I'm most excited about potentially getting moved, because he's been good with runners on scoring position or men on base this season. It's just people are hardly on base for him when he gets up, and get him to a good park with power, and it can play up some of his power numbers a little bit. So yeah, he's one I'm watching.
You'd like to see him improve on the power numbers. He's been so just kind of mid. He gets a lot of hype from the fantasy community. It's a lot of hype from the fantasy community, but he never really kind of delivers. I mean, is it? It could be. It could just be that the ballpark kind of siphons away some of the power from him. It could also be just the losing environment. It could be the garbage that's around. I think Brian Reynolds, for years you can't consider Connor Joe to be protection in the lineup and expect your guy to do anything there. So, and you know what? And a guy like Ke'Bryan Hayes, from a fantasy perspective, maybe that helps him as well. He doesn't really contribute a whole hell of a lot to the stat pages. He's got a good glove that kind of keeps him in the lineup there. Your boy Bednar. I think I've just picked up Bednar in a league that he got dropped.
There you go.
Not for anything good, Colby. I just, I wanted to see how many different ways I could blow up my ERA. So
you are in too deep now.
Well, the Rockies definitely don't have any pieces to move. I don't even know where to begin with that team. I mean, I guess Tyro Estrada, maybe he offers up somebody. I don't know if they're willing to trade Hunter Goodman. Yeah, they really just don't have anything there. Look at this. This is because they're not going to trade Brenton Doyle, and that's really the only guy on that team that you'd want. Maybe him, maybe Jordan Beck. I don't even know.
I mean, it's that if you go back to the beginning of the year, it was all the trade. Everyone was looking at trade line before the year started, and it was, man, how big of a haul are the Marlins going to get for Sandy Alcantara, and how big of a haul are the White Sox going to get for Luis Robert Jr.? And guess what? Two dudes have sucked this year. The Marlins phones better be ringing right now. And by ringing, I mean they should be calling people, because the last time I looked, Sandy was pitching well against, the Rockies.
Well, see, yeah, there's the thing. He went 6 innings, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts, 4 hits and a walk. That's fine, right?
That's great for him.
70 pitches is very economical. Those are great numbers, but the Rockies are so bad. He's not even going to get the freaking win on this one here, because the Rockies are actually up 3-2 right now. So Sandy's not even going to get that win. But yeah, that's a great start for him for this year.
Lowers his ERA to upper 7s.
I mean, I traded him. I got Jung-Hoo Lee for him straight up.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky with that, but because this one start here, I just don't know what Sandy's going to do the rest of the way. Even with a change of scenery, I just don't know if he's got the stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it fixes them. And some other guys like Arizona, could they move, especially if Corbin Burns, when the news comes out that he's probably done for the year, do they move on from Zac Gallen? They could look to trade him, but Arizona's in an interesting spot because, yes, they are going to lose Corbin Burns. Yes, Zac Gallen has been atrocious, but that offense is just so damn good that they can score with anybody. Do they almost have this hope that the offense can lead them and they try to make moves? Because otherwise that rotation, that rotation looked very good coming into the year. Burns, Gallen, Erod, and Fott.
Yeah. And
I don't know if any of them have been really any good. It's been a disappointment, but that offense has been phenomenal.
Fott's had some moments there. Fott's his biggest issue is the left-handed batters, and he's been a lot better against them this year than he has in the past.
Yes.
Gallen's been the atrocious one, but meanwhile though, as we talk here, Zac Gallen 5 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts against the Braves. So solid effort here for him. Diamondbacks up 5-3. Spencer Strider sucking balls.
Yeah, a couple bad starts for Strider since he's been activated. Not saying it's something, not saying it's nothing.
Strider with the brace surgery instead of regular Tommy John. Sandy Alcantara with the brace surgery instead of regular Tommy John. So telling you there, Colby.
Yeah, and I think last time I think I wrote it in the injury report. I believe as long as there hasn't been an update, they were determining for AJ Smith-Shawver whether he was going to get Tommy John or go the internal brace surgery.
Just give him the Tommy John. The brace surgery, I mean, it needs to be, it needs to be perfected. Like Tommy John surgery. I get that you want to try it and do certain things, and maybe it cuts down a little bit on your recovery time. I think that's really like the whole, reason behind it. But I'd rather have a quality arm out there and get the surgery done properly.
Well, if you buy $1,000 suit, the $200 tie doesn't look that bad. But if you're buying a $400 suit, the $200 tie looks pretty bad. So like if it's only a couple extra months on the recovery, just get the Tommy John. It's also easy for me to say here with my career not, all on the line on this right arm. I tried that and it didn't work. So, more power to him.
I love that analogy, though. I love that analogy. The $200 tie with the $400 suit.
Yep. Might as well just, it looks worse on a $400 suit.
It didn't look bad. I was wearing that when I went to John and Pempa's wedding.
A $400 suit?
And a $200 tie.
How much were the shoes?
$6. 3 a piece. Goodwill.
Thrifty. I love it.
All right, so those are the sellers, the Pirates, the Rockies, the Baltimore Orioles. That's another team that
maybe
could they? I mean, you got to do something with that group. But the problem is that group is so young, and like I mean, Mountcastle, maybe he goes.
O'Hearn.
Maybe somebody
they'll get rid of O'Hearn.
Cedric Mullins.
Yes. Oh, please.
Right. I mean, but they're not going to do anything because their pitching is just a hot mess.
Yeah.
That's the big issue there. Hot mess. All right. On the buying side, Yankees, Dodgers, obviously going to be in that mix. How about the Detroit Tigers? First team to 40 wins. This team, I think that they said over the last like 120 games, the Detroit Tigers are like one of the best teams in baseball. Crazy like that.
Yeah, they should look to get one more really good arm to complement Skubal. Go in from there. Not say that the other arms are bad, but just another good arm with Flaherty. I believe Sawyer Gipson-Long was just activated. They have Reese Olson. There's a lot of intriguing arms there. I think they could use another arm, maybe get themselves another power bat to throw in there as well. But the Tigers are set up really, really nicely. This team is really intriguing. They just got Parker Meadows back, which is also going to help the offense. Like this is the time. It feels just like last year. I was doing the trade deadline with Matt Sells, and we were talking about, will the Dodgers trade Skubal? They should maybe trade Skubal. And now we're sitting here like, hey, they should like legitimize this thing that they're doing and make a run for it in 2025. They're a damn good baseball team.
I mean, you really have to. Like, you have to, because you've got a good mix of core and veteran guys. And I mean, take a look at what's going on with Detroit. I wrote an article for the New York Post. It was either last week or the week before, where I was like, if you're looking for bullpen help, just take both Tigers. It's Will Vest and who's the other dude? Who's the other dude in Detroit? Why am I blanking on his name?
The old guy?
What's that?
The old guy? Tommy Conley?
Yeah. Tommy Kahnle. Tommy Kahnle and Will Vest have like combined to far surpass what any one closer has done in MLB. So you've got your bullpen locked down because they've got good setup guys there as well. Tyler Holton's a good lefty setup guy. They've got productive arms that you look at it and what I would want to do, I'd want to upgrade, I want to upgrade from Javier Baez. Yeah. You'd like to upgrade behind the dish as well, I think, but I don't necessarily know if you really want to screw up the battery that much by getting rid of either, by replacing Dingler or Jake Rogers.
The answer is always Dylan Double Dong Dingler. He's always
Double Dong Dingler.
Actually, I don't even know if he has a 2-home run game this year, but if he hits one, I'm going to be unbearable. I love alliteration. It's perfect behind the dish. It's a match. It's a match made in heaven. But yeah, they should definitely look like some of maybe the outside of the core of that lineup could use some improvement. Like, yes, like look to improve upon Javier Baez. Every team can use more bullpen help. Maybe they're going to be around the David Bednar market. Maybe they're going to be looking for some other guys there. But this team is really good. I mean, yes, they have a good 1-2 punch of Scooble Flaherty, but they have a bunch of pitchers that are injured right now. I think another arm could definitely help them out. Just not like a Sandy Alcantara type. What Detroit needs to do is learn from what Baltimore did last year and going for like the upside play in Trevor Rogers and giving a good prospect for that. Get an established guy. If you're going to pay up with the prospects, get someone established. Don't take a chance on Trevor Rogers finding that one version of him that we're probably never going to see again from that one good year.
You don't need an ace, but you also don't need a number 5 starter. You need something in the middle there. You need something that's going to give you some solid balance, that if you're in a 7-game series, that you've got 3 guys that you're just like, I'm going to them. And you've already got 2 in Scooble and Flaherty. I don't think Reese Olson or Casey Mize is that guy, and Jackson Job's done or possibly done. So
if you can get an arm that at least in July you can feasibly say he is definitely the game 3 starter in insert playoff series, I think you did it right. You don't necessarily need a number 1 or 2. You got those kind of locked in. But if you get somebody and you're like, man, I don't know between Casey Mize, Reese Olson, Sawyer Gibson Long, and insert player's name here, that's not what they need. They need a legitimate number 3 for their 3-headed monster in the playoffs to be Scooble, Flaherty, and insert set player.
You know what's really funny is the worst thing that could happen to the St. Louis Cardinals is that this team of mediocrity is playing the way it is. Because could you imagine Nolan Arenado getting traded to Detroit, giving you, his glove isn't what it used to be, but I mean, from a power perspective, from a hitting perspective, light years better than what Vierling or McKinstry are going to give you. In that spot. I think that would be a nice little landing spot there. I also feel like you could upgrade Trey Sweeney at short. I mean, he's a good glove. He's not an amazing. Nobody's giving him Gold Glove for his shortstop work, and he doesn't really hit all that well.
If the Blue Jays falter a little bit, maybe a Bo Bichette.
Look at you.
Get Cabrian Hayes at third base too for Detroit. Doesn't really help.
Brian Hayes would be, he would kind of fit that Tigers mold too. And you know what? I think that would, help, especially because, he's a guy who can, you're not looking for like huge power, but Comerica's outfield is spacious enough that maybe his batting average on balls in play shoots up over there because it's as spacious. It's probably a little bit more spacious than PNC is, I think.
And Hayes can run a little bit too, give a little bit of a speed element to the lineup. I guess maybe that could be the one knock on them, but getting Parker Meadows back is going to boost stolen base numbers for that team. So yeah, Cabrian Hayes, that could be an option. Maybe if the Blue Jays kind of squander a little bit here and don't think that they see themselves in that AL East race, maybe a Bo Bichette type can head that way. It could be. Every MLB trade deadline is always intriguing in its own right. And one could argue that the fact that the 2 blue chips at the beginning of the season are now, I don't want to say worthless, but pretty darn close to it. It'll be interesting to see kind of who the big names are that go.
Lewis Roberts still stealing bags, dude. He just can't get on base. Maybe that change of scenery helps him.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think. I mean, this dude has been on a losing franchise, on a sinking ship for years. That's got to wear on you.
The White Sox would totally trade him in division, right?
Oh my God. I don't think they care about where they're trading. I think they're just a matter of like, they still need to kind of touch up that farm system. Their farm system isn't as tragic as say like Colorado's, but it's still pretty bad. They could definitely use, kind of a rebuilding there. And Lewis Robert, whoever's going to offer them the best prospects, I think would be the way to go.
Man, Colorado is so set up for the future. Bad farm system, worst team in baseball.
There's so many bad things about them. They're terrible. All right. Well, Colby, for your first week back here and, all sorts of other things going on, We're going to kind of keep this a little bit short, but you know what? Why don't you, since you, you know, you were talking about James Grande's waiver wire article, you do the injury report over at fantasyalarm.com. Couple of guys you got your eyeballs on heading into the end of this week.
I touched on the one guy. I don't know what it is with the Kansas City Royals and left-handers, but they got Noah Cameron pitching really well now. The strikeouts have not been there through 4 starts, but the strikeout numbers were really good during his time in the minors. And while the strikeout rate has been less than ideal this season, if you take a look, he's got a 10.5% swinging strike rate, needs to generate more swings out of the zone, but he's a guy I'm really interested in despite having, I think it's 3 or less strikeouts in all but 1 start this season. He's gone 6+ in all 4 straight quality starts to begin. His season here, 105 ERA, the FIP at 3.78 isn't too bad. So if you need some pitching help, I am looking to Noah Cameron. And then if you need some offensive help, Ernie Clement is just red hot. Addison Barger also is as well for Toronto, but Ernie Clement, very, very impressive what he's doing of late. He absolutely destroys left-handed pitching, 392 average on the season with an OPS of 1154. And if you look at the schedule this upcoming week, a couple more lefties on the docket here this week. So fire up Ernie Clement, especially on those days when he gets lefties.
I love it. Throwing down the Ernie Clement nod here to close out the podcast. Oh, big earn. I love that. All right. Well, again, you know, sometimes these podcasts, it's like I tell my wife, sometimes these podcasts will last a long time. Sometimes they'll go by very, very quickly. What are you going to do? But I tell you what, we're just going to ease Colby in. We're going to kind of regroup, see how Jac Caglianone plays, see how Ronny Mauricio plays. Maybe the Red Sox will bring up Roman Anthony one of these days and we'll have even more to talk about. I don't know. But in the meantime, just a quickie for us here tonight. So we thank everybody for tuning in here to the Caught Stealing podcast. For Colby Conway, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.